Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to lecture number 18 of the course Introduction to Computer and Programming. In this lecture, first I will show you a very simple program in which we will take input marks, percentage marks of 10 subjects from the user, and then we will sum of those marks, calculate the sum of those marks, and then we will calculate average and display the result of average. Then I will show you a program in which we declare an array and then print the addresses of the element of the array and the values. And in that program we have to observe that the memory allocated for all the elements of the array is continuous. Then we will come to the array initialization, different method to initialize an array while declaring at the declare time. And then we will come to the bound checking of the array, that for example if the size of the array is 5, then we have to make sure that the size of the array would not exceed from 5. That is, the maximum index we can access in an array of size 5 is index 4. So 0 to 4 are the indexes. So what if we insert a value at index number 5, then what will happen? We will see this thing. And then we comes to the how we pass elements of an array to a function, and in this we will see that we can pass the value of the element of the array and we can pass the addresses of the element of the array to the function. And then we comes to the pointer arithmetic. Let's overview our previous lecture. In the previous lecture I have shown you a recursive function. We have seen what is a recursive function, and then I gave you the introduction of an array, then how the array elements are accessed, how we can assign values to the array element, how we can print value on the screen of the array element, and how we use the array elements in any arithmetic operation. And then we have seen a simple array program. So in today's lecture we will write a program to calculate the percentage marks, and then we will write a program to see that the memory allocated to the array element are continuous. And then we comes to the array initialization, bound checking of array, passing array elements to a function, and very important topic, pointer arithmetic. This is a simple marks program in which we enter marks of 10 subjects. So हमारे पास ये पहला for loop है. In this for loop we have two statements, so we put opening bracket and closing bracket of that loop. So सबसे पहले यहाँ पर जो मैसेज प्रिंट होगा, enter marks, we will enter the marks of first subject, and so on we enter the marks of 10 different subjects, और वो तमाम के तमाम marks array को assign हो जाएंगे. जो marks array हमने declare किया यहाँ पर जिसका size 10 है, so ये marks array को तमाम values assign हो जाएंगी. And then we have a for loop. This is a variable sum, और sum को हमने initialize किया है 0 से, and then when value of I is 0, marks of 0 plus sum, so 0 plus marks at index 0 will be assigned to sum. So इस तरीके से जब ये लूप पूरा चल जाएगा तो sum जो हमारे पास variable है, that contains the addition of all the marks of 10 subjects that we have entered in the previous for loop, उन तमाम मार्क्स को सम कर लेगा. इसका एक दफ़ा आप ड्राई रन करके खुद से चेक कर सकते हैं. And then we calculate average, sum divided by 100, and this is the message we will display after calculating average. Average marks is equal to, here we print the average, right? So let's go to the program. So this is our program. This is the array initialization. Array declaration means that we are declaring an array whose name is marks, whose size is 10, and the type of the array is int. And this means that all the elements that were stored in this array, in array marks, has type int. इसके बाद हमारे पास for loop है. For loop में हमने 10 subjects के marks input करने हैं. Let's say we write the subject number as well. Enter marks of subject 1 2 3 इस तरह से लिखा है आपके पास, ठीक है. So I will write it over here, I plus 1. So now when the value of I is 0, the message printed on the screen is enter marks of subject 0, right? And when the value of I is 1, then the message printed is enter marks of subject 2, because I is 0 initially, so 0 plus 1 is 1, and 1 will be printed over here. When the value of I is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 will be printed over here, ठीक है. So marks array के 0th index पे सब्जेक्ट 1 के मार्क्स स्टोर होंगे, मार्क्स अरे के 1th इंडेक्स पे सब्जेक्ट 2 के मार्क्स स्टोर होंगे, इसी तरह से मार्क्स अरे के 9th इंडेक्स पे सब्जेक्ट 10 के मार्क्स स्टोर होंगे. लेट्स रन दिस प्रोग्राम. फर्स्ट कंपाइल इट, then execute it. So you see the message enter marks of subject 1. Now let's say the marks is 70, enter marks of subject 2, let's say 70. So 5 subjects के marks हमने 70 input कर दिए हैं. Let's say for other 5 subjects we insert marks 80, then the average marks will be 75. So 80, oops, 0, 80. Okay, so the average marks is equal to 67, because one of the marks or the marks in the 7th subject is 0, so that is insert mistakenly, right? So you get the average marks. यहाँ पर आप इस for loop में देखें that we are calculating the sum of those marks, right? और जब I की वैल्यू यहाँ पर 0 होगी, initially the value of I is 0, so marks 0 में जो marks हमने insert किए थे, let's say 70 plus 0, and that will be assigned to the variable sum, that is sum contains 70. Now next, in the next iteration, value of I is incremented, I become 1, and the condition is 1 less than or equal to 9. So that condition is true, so then 70 plus marks of 1 is also 70, that we have insert in the last execution of the program. So that is 140 will be assigned to this variable, right? So let's again run this program. 70, 70, 70, now 80, so the average marks is 75. Now it's obvious that 5 subjects के marks is 70, and the other for the marks for the other 5 subjects is 80, then the average marks is of course 70, right? Now let's write a program to print the value and the addresses of the array elements. So values तो हमने पहले भी print की थी, but in this program our major emphasis is on the addresses of the element. We have to observe that the addresses of the elements are continuous, एक साथ साथ assign हुए हैं. So we will declare an integer array of, let's say, size is 5, so it contains 5 elements. So if the address of first element is 4000, the address of second element will be 4004, and the address of third element will be 4008. So you will see that from the base address, increment of 4 will be performed for every element. हर element के लिए 4 का increment perform होगा. And why it is so? Because the type of each element in this array is integer. Because the type of array is int. So let's write the program. So we're declaring an integer array. So the name of the array is A, whose size is 5. So let's assign some value. Forget about the value. We're just going to print the addresses. So when I write this thing, this is a declaration, that means the memory is allocated for that array. When the program executes, so it allocates some memory. And how much memory? 5 into 4, 20 bytes will be allocated, because this array A can store 5 integer values, and each integer value take 4 bytes, so 20 bytes will be stored. So we have a variable I, and for I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4, because the size of the array is 5, so the index of the array starts from 0 to 4. I plus plus. Now let's print out the address in the form of integer /n. So address के लिए use AND operator, a of I, right? So if I won't put AND operator, it will print the value. So I put the AND operator, so it prints the address of, for example, initially the value of I is 0, so a of I means a of 0, so a of 0th element, that means 0th index element का ये address print करेगा. Then it will print the address of element whose index is 1, then it will print the address of element whose index is 2, and so on. And when the value of I becomes 5, the loop will be break from this point. Loop condition false हो जाएगी और break हो जाएगा. So let's compile it and execute this program. Now you see this is the address of the first element, 2686752. So 752, 756, 760, 764, 768. You see this jump of 4 byte, 4 byte, 4 byte, and 4 byte, right? Why this is 4 byte jump? Because integer take 4 bytes. I told you before that a character variable takes 1 byte. So let's say if the array A is a character array, then how much jump will be? The jump will be of 1 byte. So 768 is the base address of the array, 769 is the address of next element, 770 is the address of next element, because the character, if I declare an array like this, so this is an array whose name is A, that contains 5 characters and each character takes 1 byte. So how much memory will be allocated for this array A? Just 5 byte. And what is the address of first byte? That is 2686768, and the address of second byte is 769, and so on. So 2686769 is the address of second byte, and 267867770 is the address of third byte, fourth byte, and this is the address of fifth byte. So you see now the only 1 byte is allocated for each element of that array. Why this is so? Because the type of the each element is character, and character takes only 1 byte in a memory, only takes a single byte in memory. If you run the same program for the float, let's say, then it also takes 4 byte in memory. So compile and execute. So 752, 56, 60, 64, 78. Why? Because each element is a float element, and float element takes 4 byte in memory. So if this is the address of first element, right, the next element starts after 4 byte, and the next element start after 4 byte from the previous element, and so on. So अब आपने देख लिया, the elements, the memory allocated for an array is continuous. So it doesn't matter with the size. Let's say you have a size of 150, the loop will be 149. Let's compile and execute it. Now you see the addresses, all addresses are 4 byte. The difference is 4 byte, 4 byte. Why? Because each element is a float, and float takes 4 byte, and float value takes 4 byte in memory. And the space allocated is continuous. You see, this is the address of the one element, and this is the address of the next element, and they are continuous. You can see, right? 764 पर एक element है, the next element is 768. इसका address ये होगा, right? Now let's come to the array initialization. These are the method which you can use to initialize an array at the declare time. You are declaring an array num whose size is 6, and you are assigning 6 values to that array. So this value will be assigned to the 0th index, the second value 4th will be assigned to the 1st index, third value 12 will be assigned to the second index. So 0th index, 1st index, second index, and this 4th value will be assigned to the third index, and so on. So आपने 6 values यहाँ पे लिख दी हैं. Make sure you write 6 values, not 7 values. 6, at most 6 values, because the size of the array is 6. You can write 2 values as well, but at most you can write 6 values. Now here you see we haven't specified the size of the array. This is empty square bracket. Now you can do this. You can previously I told you that at declare time you have to mention the size of the array. This is a compulsory condition if you haven't initialized an array at declare time. ठीक है, अगर आपने सिंपली लिख दिया है इंटीजर x और स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट में एम्प्टी छोड़ के सेमीकोलन लगा दिया आगे, दैट मीन्स यू हैवंट इनिशियलाइज अरे x एट डिक्लेयर टाइम, देन दिस इज अ कंपाइलर एरर. Either you have to initialize it or you have to mention the size of the array. So जहाँ पर वो size खुद से calculate कर लेगा, because here it can see that values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So the size of this array n becomes 6, right? Again you have a floating point array. So the size of this press array is 1, 2, 3, 4 values. So 4 is the size of this press array. आप इस तरह भी इनिशियलाइज कर सकते हैं, और यू कैन इनिशियलाइज एन अरे बाय टेकिंग वैल्यू, बाय टेकिंग इनपुट फ्रॉम द यूजर, जिसको हम काफ़ी दफ़ा देख चुके हैं कि वी कैन यूज़ अ फॉर लूप और वाइल लूप, व्हाटएवर, कोई भी लूप यूज़ करके आप अरे को फिलअप कर सकते हैं. दैट इज़ अ वेरी कन्वीनियंट मैथड. नाउ बाउंड्स चेकिंग इन अरे. Bounds mean that array index start from 0 to the size -1. So for example, if the size of the array is 5, then the array index start from 0 to 4. Array of if the size of the array is, let's say, 10, then the array index start from 0 to 9. So this is the boundary of the array indexes, or this is the boundary of the array. In C there is no check to see if the subscript used for an array exceeds the size of the array. So what is subscript? Subscript is if you have an array x whose size is 10, then in the program if you write x the square bracket में 5 is equal to 15 semicolon, in this statement 5 is the subscript element. That means that you are assigning to the element of the containing whose index is 5, and the value you are going to assign to the 5th index element is 15. So C में इसकी कोई restriction नहीं है. You can have an array whose size is 5. You mention it at the declare time, but afterwards in your program you can have an array, same array, and you can write subscript element 15 and you assign some value to it. C will not give any error on it. ठीक है? So in C there is no check to see if the subscript used for an array exceeds the size of the array, कि उसके size से exceed हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. आपने size तो 5 रखा है, but though that means that 0 to 4 indexes हैं, but आप index number 6 में value assign कर रहे हैं. इससे compiler error नहीं देगा, but this is a logical error, and it could disturb the execution. It will definitely disturb the execution of your program, correct execution of the program. ठीक है? So the data entered must be with the subscript exceeding the array size will simply be placed in the memory outside that array. So for example, if we have an array, उसका size 10 है, and if we are going to assign the value at index number 10, अगर अरे का साइज हमारे पास 10 है तो उसमें इंडेक्सेस 0 से लेकर 9 तक होंगे. इंडेक्स नंबर 10 कोई चीज़ एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती होगी, बट इफ़ यू असाइन द एलिमेंट लाइक a at index 10 equals to 10 value, then the value will, this value will be written at this place. उसके 9th एलिमेंट के बाद जो स्पेस आ रही है 4 बाइट्स, वहाँ पर वो वैल्यू लिख देगा. ठीक है, बट द अरे बाउंड्री इज दिस. ठीक है, सो सी इस चीज़ को नहीं देखता कि आपका जो सबस्क्रिप्ट एलिमेंट है, हियर द सबस्क्रिप्ट एलिमेंट इज 10, सो एट डिक्लेयर टाइम दिस इज द साइज ऑफ द अरे. दिस इज नॉट अ सबस्क्रिप्ट एलिमेंट एट डिक्लेयर टाइम, दिस इज साइज. सो आफ्टरवर्ड्स इन योर प्रोग्राम इफ यू राइट समथिंग विद इन द स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट्स, दिस इज अ सबस्क्रिप्ट एलिमेंट, मीन्स दैट यू आर एक्सेसिंग द इंडेक्स 10 एलिमेंट ऑफ अरे ए. सो सी विल नॉट चेक द बाउंड्री कि आप के अरे में इंडेक्स 10 एग्जिस्ट करता है, इज इट द पार्ट ऑफ योर अरे और नॉट. सो यहाँ पर ऐसी अरे जिसका जो साइज है 10 है, 0 to 9 तक उसमें एलिमेंट्स इंडेक्सेस हैं, उसमें इंडेक्स 10 एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता. इफ़ यू असाइन द सम वैल्यू टू द इंडेक्स 10, देन दैट वैल्यू विल बी रिटर्न ओवर हियर in the next 4 byte after the index 9. So you see, this is the boundary of the array. So you can write anything outside it, and C will not give you any error, but the program execution, the execution of your program will be disturbed. आपकी output, required output नहीं आएगी. There is some problem in the execution of the program. Then you will not see the desired result, rather. So to see that we do not reach beyond the array size is entirely the programmer's botheration and not the compilers. So programmer को इस चीज़ का खुद से हिसाब रखना पड़ेगा, खुद से याद रखना पड़ेगा कि हम array के साइज से बाहर तो नहीं निकल रहे. हम array के साइज से बाहर निकल के किसी एलिमेंट को वैल्यू तो साइन नहीं कर रहे. You have to check this thing by yourself. C compiler won't be checking this thing for you. But in most of the other language, like in Java, Java will do bound checking, and it will tell you or it will give an error if you assign any value to the element exceeding the size of the array. ठीक है? So C में इस तरह की कोई restriction नहीं है. So you have to be very careful, right? So passing array element to a function. Array elements can be passed to a function by calling the function by value or address. So if we have an integer array, we can treat an individual element in the same way we treat a separate integer variable. ठीक है, हम उस जिस तरह से हम सेपरेट वेरिएबल की वैल्यू पास कर सकते हैं फंक्शन को या एड्रेस पास कर सकते हैं फंक्शन को, इसी तरह से वी कैन पास a value or the address of the individual element of an array to a function. It's the same way. Similarly, as we can use an integer variable in an arithmetic expression, in any arithmetic expression, so we can also use individual element of the array in the arithmetic expression as well. In the call by value, we pass value of an array element to a function, and in a call by reference, we pass addresses of the element to the function. So call by reference is actually call by address, जिसमें you are passing the address of the element of the address of the array element to a function. Let's see the program. This is the program. Value of array element passed to a function. So here we have a function display. We pass an integer value to that function, and the purpose of this function is to print that integer value on the screen. So this is the prototype of the function. You are passing the integer value to a variable m, and then you have a single printf statement that is used to print that value. To be m की value थी, that will be printed on the screen. So this is the main function. Here we have the array of marks. Now we haven't mentioned the size of the marks of this array. We haven't mentioned the size of this array. So marks array का size किस तरह से C determine करेगा? Because we are initializing this array at declare time. So we are declaring and we are initializing it with some values. So values check करेगा 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 values हैं. So the size of this array will be 7. So that means the index of this array will start from 0 and end at 6. So there are 7 elements. You have a for loop that starts with 0 and goes to 6. That means 7 times execute होगा, and in each execution you are passing the value of marks of I to the display function. So value of I is 0 initially, then marks of 0 will be passed to the display function, and here we have m is 0, then 0 will be printed. Sorry, marks of 0 is 55. When we declare an array, this is the memory that will be allocated. When the value of I is 0, so marks of 0 is 55, value 55 will be passed to this function. So m will contain 55 and the 55 value will be printed on the screen. So let's dry run this program. So this is when you declare and initialize an array. So in the memory you will get this thing. So you have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 elements. Indexes are 0 to 6, and these are the addresses 500 504 508 12 16 20 and 24. We assume that this is the addresses, and these are the values of the elements of the array, right? And then let's start with execution of for loop. Initially the value of I is 0. So with the value of I 0, we will call the function display marks of 0. So marks of 0 is 55. So value 55 will be passed to this function, and then the output will be 55, right? And then after the जब ये function successfully execute हो जाएगा, the control will be transferred back to the place where we call this function. So the control will be transferred back here. At this point there is no next statement, so it will increment the loop counter. The value of I will become now 1, and 1 less than or equal to 6 condition is true. So the function call will be like this. So display marks 1, and marks 1 is 65. So marks array के 1th index पे जो value है that is 65. So value of 65 will be passed to the display function. Again the display function is called. So इसकी execution दोबारा से start होगी. Now the value that will be assigned to m this time is 65, and 65 will be printed using this printf statement. And the function execution of the function is finished. The control will be transferred back to the place where we call this function. There is no next statement. Then it increment the loop counter. The value of I will become 2. Now this function call will be look like display marks 2. So second index पे जो value पड़ी है that will be passed, and second index पे जो value है that is 75. So this function will be called display 75. So we are passing now 75 to display function. This time 75 will be assigned to m, and it will be printed using this printf statement. Then the function execution exits finished. The control will be transferred back to the point where you call this function, and then increment decrement statement. So increment will be performed. So increment, the value of I will become 3, right? Now the function call, this function call will become like display marks 3. So you are now passing the value of index 3 of marks array. The value is 65. So 65 value will be passed to this array, to this function. So here now m contains 65, and in the printf statement you are printing the value of m. So this value will be printed on the screen. Okay, so ये program की output है, and this is the memory, right? And then the execution of this function finished. The control will be transferred back to the point where you call this function. Then there is no next statement in the for loop, so it perform increment part. So the value of I become 4. Now this time 4 less than or equal to 6 condition is true. The function call will look like display marks 4, and this marks 4, the value at index 4 is 78. 78 will be passed to the display function, and display function print that value. So that value will be printed on the screen, that is 78. Now the next time, so the function finished, control will be transferred back, it will perform increment part. So the value of I will become 5. Now the condition of the loop is 5 less than or equal to 6. Condition is true. It will call the function display with index 5 element. So marks of 5 means that value at index 5 of marks array, and that value is 78. So this value will be passed to this function, and display function print that value. So 78 will be printed on the screen, and then control will be transferred back. It will perform the increment part. The value of I will become 6 now. So value of I will be 6. The condition is 6 less than or equal to 6. Condition is true. Now it will call this function, and this call look like this: display marks 6, and marks 6, the value at index 6 of marks array is 90. So 90 will be passed, and display function will print that value on the screen. And then the value of I is incremented. Control will be transferred back. Value of I is incremented. This time the value becomes 7. So condition is 7 less than or equal to 6. So the condition becomes false, and the control will come out of the loop, and it's the क्लोजिंग ब्रैकेट ऑफ द मेन स्टेटमेंट एंड द प्रोग्राम एग्जिट। सो प्रोग्राम आपके सामने इन तमाम वैल्यूज को प्रिंट कर देगा। दीज आर द वैल्यूज ऑफ द अरे। सो नाउ वी हैव अ फंक्शन दैट प्रिंट्स ऑल दीज वैल्यू ऑफ द अरे, और उस फंक्शन को हम वन बाय वन एक एक वैल्यूज पास कर, एक एक वैल्यू पास कर रहे हैं अरे एलिमेंट की। इन द नेक्स्ट प्रोग्राम we are passing the addresses of the array element to a function, right? And now this time our target is again the same, that we are going to print the value of the array. हम array की values को print करेंगे, addresses को print नहीं करेंगे, but if we are passing the address of the array element, then we have a pointer over here. So we have a pointer that points to the memory location of this element memories, right? इस एलिमेंट को जो मेमोरी असाइन हुई है उस मेमोरी को ये पॉइंटर पॉइंट करेगा, एंड देन वी आर प्रिंटिंग दैट वैल्यू। हम उसी मेमोरी लोकेशन से वैल्यू को प्रिंट करेंगे। सो लेट्स ड्राई रन अगेन दिस प्रोग्राम। सो दिस इज द मेमोरी फॉर द अरे, मार्क्स अरे। सो उसको तमाम वैल्यूज असाइन हो चुकी हैं, 0 से 6 तक इंडेक्सेस हैं, एंड दीज आर द एड्रेसेस। नाउ फॉर द वैल्यू ऑफ आई is equal to 0 in the loop, the condition becomes true. 0 is less than or equal to 6. Then the function call will be look like this function call disp. So before going further, let's see the prototype of this function. This is void disp, and we have a pointer. So the variable or the parameter to this function is, the type of the parameter of this function is a pointer, integer pointer है. So that means this pointer points to the memory location where the integer value are stored, because the type of the pointer is integer. अगर type of pointer character होगी, it will point to the memory location where character values are stored. But the return type of this function is void. That means this function returns nothing. Now this is the function call. I की value 0 है. The function call will be look like this, and marks of 0 and marks of 0 is the we are accessing the address of the index 0th element of marks array. So index 0 जिस element का है उसका address is 500. So 500 address will be passed to this function. Now the value of n is become 500. So when we say static n, we are printing static n, then this static 500, and static is value at address 500. So 500 address पे कौन सी value है? That is 55. So 55 will be printed on the screen, right? Then the execution of the function is finished, of disp function is finished. The control will be transferred back to the place where you call disp function. There is no further statement in the for loop. Then it comes to the increment part. So it increments the value of I. It becomes 1. Condition is 1 less than or equal to 6 is true. Now the function call will look like this: disp and marks of 1. So index address of the, now we are accessing here, we means the address of the element whose index is 1. मार्क्स अरे का वो एलिमेंट जिसका इंडेक्स 1 है उसका एड्रेस, एंड दैट एड्रेस इज 504. सो वी आर पासिंग दैट एड्रेस to this function. So here we have a pointer again. So static n contains 504. Now this pointer points to this memory location, right? So when we print static n, then this means static, and the value of the pointer is 504. यहाँ पर स्टैरिक डालने की वजह ये है, ये जो मैंने बताया ना कि ये मेमोरी, ये जो 4 बाइट्स है मेमोरी के, ये एलोकेट हुए हैं स्टैरिक एन के लिए. सो 504 इज नॉट स्टैरिक एन. व्हाई आई पुट स्टैरिक ओवर हियर इज जस्ट टू मेक इट डिफरेंट दैट एन इज नॉट एन ऑर्डिनरी वेरिएबल, नॉट एन ऑर्डिनरी इंटीजर वेरिएबल, रादर एन इज अ integer pointer, is a pointer variable. ठीक है, so that's why I put n over here. It doesn't mean that static n is 504. It just means n is 504 and static n is value at 504. ठीक है, so again I'm repeating, n is actually 504 and static n is value at address 504. So static n is static 504. This means value at address 504. So 504 memory address पे value क्या है? 65 है. So 65 will be printed. Right? So here you are dereferencing a pointer. This is a pointer dereference. Dereferencing a pointer means that you are accessing the value that is present at the address that is held by the pointer. So pointer हमेशा एक address hold करके रखेगा as a value. This is the value of the pointer. The value of the pointer n or static n is 504. So when I say static n, that means address or value at address 504. So static n means value at address 504, right? Then the function execution finished. Control will be transferred back to the place where we call this function. Then the value of I will be incremented. It becomes 2. The function call will look like display and marks 2. So now this time we are passing the address of the element whose index is 2, and that address is 508. So 508 will be passed over here. When we print that address, so static n contains 508. So the pointer n contains 508. So value of n is 508 and static n is static 508. This means we can read it out, value at address 508, that value is 75. So value at address 508 is 75. So 75 will be printed on the screen here. Okay? And then the function execution finished. The control will be transferred back to the place where we have called this function. So we have seen this in the function when we are in the function lecture कि आप एक ही function को जितनी दफ़ा कॉल करना चाहें कर सकते हैं. So here we are calling disp function 7 times. हम 7 दफ़ा disp function को कॉल कर रहे हैं. हर i की वैल्यू के साथ disp function को कॉल किया जा रहा है. Now the value of I will become 3. So the condition is 3 less than or equal to 6 is true. Now जहाँ पर जब इसको पास करेंगे, it will become, the function call will become look like disp and marks 3, and address of the third index element, index of the element whose index is 3 is 512. So 512 will be passed to the function, and this pointer contains the value 512, that is a memory address, and static n is static 512, that is value at address 512, and that value is 56. So 56 will be printed on the screen. So here you are accessing this value, और आप उस वैल्यू को एक्सेस करके यहाँ पर प्रिंट कर रहे हैं. So that's why it comes over here, ये प्रिंट हो रही वैल्यू. ठीक है? Now the function execution finished because there is only one statement in the disp function. The control will be transferred back to the place where you call this function. Then it again increments the value of I. Now the value of I become 4. The function call looked like this, disp and marks of 4. So address of the element whose index is 4 is 516. So 516 will be passed to the function. Now this pointer contains the value 516, and when we dereference this pointer, what does that mean? Static 516, that is value at address 516. So value at address 516 is 78. जो 516 एड्रेस है उस पर कौन सी वैल्यू पड़ी है? उस पर वैल्यू 78 पड़ी है. ठीक है? So 78 will be printed on the screen. Now it goes to the position back where you call, from where you call that function. Then again it increments the value of I. It becomes 5. The function call looks like this, and marks of 5. So and marks of 5 is the address whose index, address of the element of array marks whose index is 5, and that is 512. So उसका 512 address है. जब ये पास होगा, now this pointer point has the value 512, and static n, when you dereference this pointer in the printf statement here, you dereferencing this pointer, so it reads, start reading the value from the byte address 520. इस byte address से read करना start करेगा. ठीक है? And it reads the next 4 byte. So इस बाइट को मिला के नेक्स्ट 3 बाइट, टोटल वो 4 बाइट रीड करेगा. ठीक है? और उस 4 बाइट पे जो वैल्यू पड़ी है दैट इज 78. बाइनरी फॉर्म में ये वैल्यू पड़ी होगी. So 78 वैल्यू विल बी प्रिंटेड ओवर हियर. So whenever the pointer is dereferenced, it will check the type of the pointer, because अब ये जो पॉइंटर है ये कंटेन कर रहा है 1 बाइट का एड्रेस है. 520 is the memory address of the first byte over here. So this is the group of 4 byte, 520, 521, 522, 523 and 524. So group of 4 byte, right? And this is the address of the first byte. ये जो फर्स्ट बाइट है इसका एड्रेस है, ये जो फर्स्ट स्मॉल ब्लॉक हम यहाँ पे बना लें वर्चुअली, ये उसका एड्रेस है 520. नाउ हाउ इट नोज के इट हैज़ टू रीड 4 बाइट, और देन जो वैल्यू बनेगी उस 4 बाइट पे उसको प्रिंट कर देगा. हाउ इट नोज दिस थिंग, हाउ सी नोज दिस थिंग, सी नोज दिस थिंग by the type of the pointer. The type of the pointer is int, so that means whenever this pointer is dereferenced, it will read 4 byte from the memory. So जो भी एड्रेस इसने कंटेन किया हुआ है उस एड्रेस से 4 बाइट ये रीड करेगा. So it will read 520, 521, 22 and 23 बाइट. So इन 4 बाइट्स को रीड करेगा, और इन 4 बाइट्स पे हमारे पास वैल्यू जो पड़ी है दैट इज 78. बाइनरी फॉर्म में ये वैल्यू पड़ी है, ठीक है. So that value will be printed over here. Then the control will be transferred back to the place where you call this function. The value of I will be incremented. So 78 print हो जाएगा. उसके बाद value of I will be incremented. That becomes 6. The function call will look like display and marks 6. So now the address of index 6 element of marks array, that is 524. So we are passing this address. Again, this is the address of the first byte of these 4 elements. So ये first byte का address है. So आप जितने भी elements देख रहे हैं उनमें ये जो addresses show हो रहे हैं, these are the addresses of the first byte of the element. वो पहले जो byte है उस पूरे integer block का, ये एक integer block है. This is the second integer block, and then this is a third integer block. So first integer block, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and 7th integer block. So हर integer block के जो starting byte का address है that is 500, 504, 508, 12, 16, 24, 20 and 24, ठीक है. So when you pass that address, starting address, to a pointer whose type is integer, now that pointer points to the memory location, this memory location. When you dereference the pointer, static 524. Now how it knows कि उसने static 524 का मतलब क्या है? It means value at address 524. So value at address 524, that is a single byte. 524 is a single byte. So it should read that single byte and show us that this is the value at single byte. But no, it reads the 4 bytes. So 524 से start करेगा और total 4 bytes read करेगा. Why it reads the 4 byte? Why not 1? Why not 2? Because it reads 4 byte because the type of the pointer is integer. So it points to the memory where you store an integer value, and integer value takes 4 byte. For example, if we have a character pointer and whenever we dereference a character pointer, it only reads 1 byte. That's it. Not 4 byte, not 3 byte, not 2 byte. Just read 1 byte. Character pointer always read 1 byte. Why? Because whenever you dereference a character pointer, then it will read just 1 byte because it points to the memory location where the characters are stored, जहाँ पर हमारे पास character पड़े हैं. So एक character variable में एक character ही आ सकता है, ठीक है. Single character can be stored in it. So you have to remember it. Whenever you dereferencing a pointer, you have to see the type of the pointer, and that will tell you how many memory or how many bytes you have to read. Then the 90 will be displayed on the screen and the value of I will become 7. So जब I की value 7 हो जाएगी, the condition becomes in the for loop 7 less than or equal to 6, it becomes false and our program exits. So ये भी program हमारा array की values को print कर रहा है, but this time we are passing the address of each element of that array. So हर एक टाइम पर हम एक एलिमेंट का एड्रेस पास करते हैं and that function will print the value at that address using the static operator. Now let's come to the pointer arithmetic. First of all, we will see the addition of a number to a pointer. So whenever we want to add some number to a pointer, how could we perform this operation? Let me show you an example. So here we have an array of 6 elements, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So these are the value of these 6 elements starting from 0th index to the index number 5. Then we are declaring 2 pointers. So when we have an array declaration, this is when this statement will be executed, this memory will be allocated. So the values are 10, 20, 30, 40 and 60. when this statement will be executed. So memory for the pointer j and the pointer k, we are declaring two pointers, the memory for these two pointers will be allocated. Now you see I put static over here for the memory allocation of j and k. Why I put static? Because just to make sure that we remember that j and k are not the ordinary variables, these are the pointer variables, right? Just to make it different from the ordinary variable, I have put static over here, right? So now this is the next statement. Now I of 0, we can read it I of 0 or value at 0th index. Now we have an AND operator here, ampersand, that is address of I of 0. So address of 0th index element of array I is 500 and that address will be assigned to a pointer j. So pointer j के पास वो address आ जाएगा. When you assign it to j, it will write like this. अच्छा, अब हम यहाँ पर अगर further एक statement लिखें, static j is equal to 10 is equal to 20 or static j is equal to 1, then 1 will be written over here because static j is static 500 and that is address value at address 500 and that is this memory location. So वो यहाँ पर 1 लिख देगा, ठीक है. So if you are assigning something to a pointer, so आप pointer को कोई value assign कर रहे हैं, that is j is equal to and I of 0. So अब आप इस pointer को value assign कर रहे हैं and that value is a memory address. So this is the address of the 0th index. So 0th index element का address है, that address will be assigned to this pointer, ठीक है. So this means that pointer j will points to the memory location और वो कौन सी memory location है, वो 0th index की memory location है, ठीक है. The next statement is j is equal to j plus 1. Now you are incrementing, आप increment कर रहे हैं. If we have a statement static j is equal to static j plus 1, so static j is 10, right? And if we have a static j is equal to static j plus 1, static j is 10, 10 plus 1 is 11 and 11 will be assigned to static j. So here we have 11 instead of 10. But the statement we have is j is equal to j plus 10. We are incrementing this value, the value that is held by the pointer, and that value is actually a memory address. So जब हम इस value को increment करेंगे, how much increment will be performed? Now this is the memory address and the type of the pointer is integer. Pointer के type हमारे पास integer है. This is the address of the memory where we have an integer value. The next integer value store after 4 byte. इसके बाद जो 4 bytes आ रहे हैं उसके बाद next integer की value store है and that is 504. So 500 पर एक integer है, 504 पर next integer value है, 508 पर next integer value है, 512 पर next integer value and so on, ठीक है. So when you increment the address, that means you are saying that pointer will points to the next integer value, ठीक है. So when you are incrementing 1, so write j is equal to j plus 1. When you write this thing, then this means that you are saying that you are incrementing the value, that is address contained by the pointer j by 1. That means it should point to the next integer value and the next integer value is starts from address 504. So the value of j will become 504 and this is what you have to remember, that static j is 10 and j is 500. This is static j and j is 500. So if you increment the value of j, it will perform the increment of 4. Why? Because the next integer value is 4 byte away. So if you have a 500, let's say the starting address of the array is 500, then when you perform the increment, then the address become 504 and it will point to this memory location. वो next integer को point कर रहा होगा, ठीक है. Because j is not the ordinary variable. Let's see it again. J is not the ordinary variable. So when you increment the pointer, the value contained by the pointer, that is the address contained by the pointer, this means that the pointer should point to the next integer value. So next integer value is at address 504. So it will add 4 byte in this address. So 504 पे आ जाएगा वो. This means the pointer points to this memory location. Now let's see with the case with the k. So k is equal to j plus 3. So j plus 3 is j plus 1 is means that the pointer points to the next element, plus 3 means that the pointer points to the third element. So whatever is in the j में हमारे पास 504 है, so plus 3 करेंगे 1 2 3, the pointer points to this element, then third element after 504. so इस वैल्यू के 1 2, so इस वैल्यू के बाद जो थर्ड वैल्यू है, the pointer points to that value because we are incrementing 3. जब 1 का इंक्रीमेंट कर रहे थे, the pointer points to the next integer value. so जब 3 का इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे, the pointer points to the third integer value. so third integer value कौन सी बन रही है? so this is 504 8 12 16. so 16 एड्रेस पर 516 पर हमारे पास थर्ड इंटीजर वैल्यू बन रही है. so that 516 will be assigned to the pointer k. so when this statement is executed, k is equal to j plus 3, so 516 will be assigned to k, and now this pointer points to this memory location. so ये चीज़ आपने हमेशा याद रखनी है कि जब भी आप पॉइंटर की वैल्यू में इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे, the value of the pointer is always a memory address. so whenever you increment the memory address, it will point to the memory location to the next value. it will point to the memory location of next value. अब next value could be integer in case of integer pointer, it could be character in case of character pointer, it could be float in case of floating point pointer. so अगर मेरे पास इंटीजर पॉइंटर होता और यहाँ पर भी इंटीजर अरे होती और यहाँ पर इंटीजर पॉइंटर होता, तो 1 का इंक्रीमेंट जस्ट 1 का इंक्रीमेंट ही होता, बिकॉज जो नेक्स्ट वैल्यू है दैट इज 1 बाइट अवे. सो इफ द स्टार्टिंग एड्रेस इज 501 and this is a, let's suppose this is a character array and the starting address is 500, and if I write j is equal to j plus 1, then जो इंक्रीमेंट होता वो जो नेक्स्ट वैल्यू होती वो 501 पर थी, because in case of character each character element in the character array takes 1 byte. so next value जो हमारे पास होती है वो 501 होती है. I will show you in the program this thing. Okay, let's see the program for pointer arithmetic where we want to add some value to the pointer. So let me declare an integer array x, size is 5 and then let's say the elements are 10 20 30 40 and 50. then we have two pointers, static j comma static k. then we said that j is equal to and x of 0. we are assigning the 0th element address to j, right? and then we say k is equal to j plus 1, and then we said that j is equal to j plus 1, and then k is equal to j plus 3. then we have a printf statement to print the values. let's say static d comma static d slash n comma static j and static k. if we print j and k, it will print the addresses. okay, let's print the addresses. value is equal to this one, address is equal to this one, let's say slash n. so पहले हम j की वैल्यू प्रिंट करते हैं इस तरह से. so this is the address of j and this is the value pointed by the j pointer that will be printed over here. right, the opposite. now this is the value that will be printed first at address, and that will be the address or the value of pointer j, that is the memory address, right? then we have a same printf statement for the pointer k. okay, so let's have a for loop here to print the value of array and the indexes of the array as well. ठीक है, उसमें हमें क्लियर पता चल जाएगा कि उसके क्या क्या इंडेक्सेस हैं, सॉरी क्या क्या एड्रेसेस हैं और उसकी क्या क्या हर एड्रेस पे क्या क्या वैल्यू पड़ी है हमारे पास. सो I इज इक्वल टू 0, I लेस देन और इक्वल टू 4, I प्लस प्लस, प्रिंट एफ वैल्यू %d at address %d /n, comma, so the value is x of I, comma, and x of I. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर हमने अरे के तमाम वैल्यूज और एड्रेसेस प्रिंट कर लेंगे. देन इसको एक दफ़ा ट्राई रन कर लेते हैं. सो आफ्टर द एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ दिस स्टेटमेंट j पॉइंटर विल पॉइंट टू द फर्स्ट एलिमेंट इन दैट अरे. इस मेमोरी को पॉइंट करेगा बिकॉज j के पास इस मेमोरी लोकेशन का एड्रेस आ जाएगा. एंड देन यू आर इंक्रीमेंटिंग दैट एड्रेस. नाउ j पॉइंट्स टू दिस मेमोरी लोकेशन. j के पास इस मेमोरी लोकेशन का एड्रेस आ जाएगा जो कि फर्स्ट इंडेक्स एलिमेंट के लिए थी, जिससे 0th इंडेक्स एलिमेंट इज द फर्स्ट इंडेक्स एलिमेंट. एंड देन वी हैव k इज इक्वल टू j प्लस 3. नाउ प्लस 3 1 2 3, so it will point to this memory location. The pointer k points to this memory location. That means pointer k के पास इस memory location का एड्रेस आ जाएगा. So the value printed over here is value is 20 at address, some address. वो एड्रेस हम यहाँ से कंफर्म कर लेंगे 20 का एड्रेस क्या है. And then the value 50 at some address. ठीक है. Then we have system pause. Let's compile it first. We have to save that program. Let's save it. Pointer. Now, okay. Then execute it. Okay. So let me first write /n and /n over here, Control S, compile and execute. Now you see value 10 at address 2686752. So इस बाइट पे से 4 बाइट तक एक इंटीजर वैल्यू होगी and that integer value is 10. The next integer value starts after the 4 byte, that is 756, 760, 764 and 768. Okay. Now this is the elements in the array. Now you see the value is equal to 20 at address. This is the address of the value 20 where the pointer j is pointing. So pointer j जो है यहाँ पर is pointing, first it is pointing to the base address, और base address के बाद, base address means the starting address of the array or the address of the 0th index of that array, and then it points to the address it points to the memory that is allocated for the 1th index or the second element of the array A. ठीक है, that is this value. So it print the value 20 at address 2686756. So this is the address, and then we have k is equal to j plus 3. So value of j is 2686756, right? And then we are incrementing 3, that is we are pointing, or we are saying that the k pointer points to the 3rd element after that. So this is the first element that ends at 60, second element, and this is the starting address of the 3rd element. So that will be assigned to k pointer. So k pointer hold this address as a value. So you see this is the value of the k pointer. We are printing in the last printf statement here. Okay, first it prints the value, and then it prints the value at the address that is held by the k pointer, and then it prints the address that is held by the k pointer as a value. ठीक है, so ये दोनों चीज़ें मुख्तलिफ हैं, दोनों को अंडरस्टैंड करना ज़रूरी है. Pointer holds a memory address as a value, and when we dereferencing a pointer, that is when we put a static with a pointer variable, this means that we are dereferencing a pointer. Then this means that the value at address that is held by the pointer, that pointer. So the value at this address is 50. You can confirm it from the array that the value at this address is 50 actually, right? Let's go back to the slide. I hope this is clear. Now the subtraction of pointer from a pointer, subtraction of a number from a pointer. Similarly, the same way you are adding something, this means that the pointer will point to the next integer value. If you are subtracting a number from the value that is the address contained by the pointer, that means you are pointing to the previous integer value. So if we have something like this, so now the j is initialized with the address of the last element, that means static j is 60. So when this statement is executed, so static j के हमारे जो j के पास value आएगी, that is 520, that is the memory address of the last element. So static j means 60 and j is 520. So j pointer points to this memory location. Next statement is j is equal to j minus 1. Now it should point to the previous memory or the previous value, or previous value starts at address 516. How it knows that the previous value start at address 516? Because the type of the pointer is integer. So integer pointer always point to the memory location where you have integer value stored. So अब C को पता चल जाएगा कि since this is the integer pointer, so previous integer value जो है वो 4 byte away होगी, 4 byte previous आ जाएगा. So now we have 516 and this is the previous integer value. So when k is equal to j minus 3, the value is 504, previous and previous value, that is this value, right? So this is same, subtraction of a number from a pointer is same as addition. In addition, you are pointing to the next value. In subtraction, you are pointing to the previous value. Now subtraction of one pointer from another pointer. If we subtract one pointer from another pointer, what will happen? One pointer variable can be subtracted from another provided both variables point to the element of the same array. दोनों के दोनों same array को point कर रहे हो, तब आप दोनों को subtract कर सकते हैं. The resulting value indicates the number of bytes separating the corresponding array element. ये कितने bytes इन दोनों के दरमियान में exist कर रहे हैं. For example, if we have a program like this, so this is the memory that is allocated for array ARRY, and this is the pointer I, this is the pointer j. Now I is equal to and RR1. So one index जो element है ARR array का, उसका address क्या है 504, that will be assigned to this pointer I, and it will point to this element. So j is equal to and R5. This means that ARR array का fifth index जो है उस element का address is 520, that will be assigned to j. Now this pointer points to this memory location. Let's go to the program and see the output. So the output is j minus I. So static j minus static I is very simple. Static j is 56 and static I is 20. So 56 minus 20 is 36, and j minus I is, so j is 520, I is 504. So कितनी values का difference, कितनी integer values का difference आ रहा है? 4 integer values का difference आ रहा है. 4 integer values exist between these two values. ठीक है. So यहाँ हम ये कह सकते हैं कि जो I value है वो जिस मेमोरी एड्रेस को पॉइंट कर रही है और j वैल्यू जिस मेमोरी एड्रेस को पॉइंट कर रही है, उनके दरमियान 4 इंटीजर वैल्यूज का डिफरेंस आ रहा है. सो let's go to the program and see the output. So this is the program. compile it and run it. So the output is 4 and 36. So that means यहाँ पे difference जो हमारे पास आ रहा है वो 4 values का आ रहा है. Let me run it again, compile and execute. So 4 and 36. So again j minus I, so you are subtracting two addresses, two pointers, so that both of must we have same type and both points to the same array, right? That is the first restriction. And when you subtract one pointer from another, so j minus I, so j minus I is j is 520, I is 504, so the difference is actually 16. So 16 बाइट्स पे हमारे पास कितनी इंटीजर वैल्यू आती है 4. सो एक्चुअली इनमें 4 इंटीजर वैल्यूज का डिफरेंस आ रहा है. देन द 4 विल बी रिटर्न ओवर हियर, इस पॉइंट पर 4 आ जाएगा. सो यहाँ पर 4 प्रिंट हो जाएगा. देन स्टैटिक जे यू आर डी रेफरेंसिंग अ पॉइंटर, दैट मीन्स static 520, and static 520 पे वैल्यू क्या पड़ी है, that value is 56. So 56 minus static I is static 504. Static 504 means value at address 504 and that value is 20. So 56 minus 20 is 36. That will be displayed over here, right? Now comparison of two pointer variables. Pointer variables can be compared provided both variables point to the element of the same data type. Let's go and see the program. So दो पॉइंटर्स को जब भी आप इक्वेट करेंगे तो वो आपको बताएगा कि ये दो पॉइंटर्स की वैल्यू इक्वल हैं या इक्वल नहीं हैं. सो इक्वलिटी को चेक करेगा, वेदर दे आर इक्वल वैल्यूज, वेदर दे आर पॉइंटिंग टू द सेम मेमोरी लोकेशन और वेदर दे आर पॉइंटिंग टू द डिफरेंट मेमोरी लोकेशन. लेट्स गो एंड सी द प्रोग्राम. ओके, so here we have an array ARR containing 1 2 3 4 5 6 elements. We have two pointers. Now we were saying that j pointer points to the fourth index element, so 0 1 2 3 4th. So pointer j points to this index, ठीक है, and k points to, now this is a new thing for you. Let me explain it a little bit over here. Then हम इसको किसी लेक्चर में डिटेल से देखेंगे. Whenever you declare an array ARR, this is actually a pointer, ठीक है. So whenever you write ARR 4, so you are saying that access, add 4 in ARR pointer and access that value. So this is actually the starting address. This pointer contains the starting address of array, or we can say this pointer ARR is a pointer that contains the starting address of the block of values, ठीक है. एक ग्रुप ऑफ वैल्यूज जो है जिसको मेमोरी एलोकेट हुई है उसका जो स्टार्टिंग एड्रेस है दैट इज कंटेन बाय दिस पॉइंटर ARR, ठीक है. सो ARR में व्हेन यू ऐड 4, so 0 1 2 3 4, this is the starting address. So when you print ARR it will print this, so 0 1 2 3 4, right? So it points to the same memory location. So when you execute the program it prints same location. For example, let me execute it. So it prints the same location, and let's say if I write over here and ARR 4, that is the same thing as we have written over here, ठीक है. So compile it, execute this program, so it prints the same location. So what if I write 3 over here, then it says different location, because now pointer k is pointing to the element that to the memory that is allocated for the third index, that is this value 0 1 2 third index, and j pointer points to the fourth index memory location, ठीक है. The word of caution: following would not work. Addition of two pointers, you cannot add two pointers, but you can add static j plus static k. That is perfectly fine. when you dereferencing a pointer, that is perfectly fine. Addition of two pointers means that the value of the pointer that is a memory address, you will not be able to add those addresses. That won't work. Multiplication of the pointer with a constant and division of pointer with a constant, that also won't work, and please avoid these things. So only you can add any number to a pointer, okay, and you can subtract any number to a pointer. You can equate two pointer variables. Now points to remember. Array elements are always stored in contiguous memory location that we have seen in the example program at the start of this lecture. A pointer when incremented always points to an immediately next location of its type. A pointer when incremented always points to an immediate next location of its type. किस type की? Pointer की type की. So if the pointer integer type का है, it points to the next integer value that is 4 byte away from the current position, current address. A pointer when decremented always point to the immediate previous location of its type. अगर pointer character type का है and you decrement it, तो हमेशा उसमें वो जो next byte है उसमें जो -1 करके एक byte आएगी उसको point करेगा. For example, we have a character pointer whose address is 500. When you increment it, तो उसमें 501 वैल्यू आ जाएगी. Why? Because the next byte, जो next value है, that is 1 byte away. Why 1 byte away? Because the type of the pointer is character. If the type of the pointer is integer, और उसमें जो address है that is 500, and if we increment that pointer, then the value of the pointer will become 504. Why it is 504? Because the next integer value is 4 byte from the current location. Then comparison between pointers can test for either equality or inequality. आपने देखना हो कि दोनों पॉइंटर सेम मेमोरी लोकेशन को पॉइंट कर रहे हैं, दोनों के पास सेम एड्रेसेस हैं या सेम एड्रेसेस नहीं है, उस चीज़ को आप चेक कर सकते हैं. Now displaying array values using pointer. So method of accessing array elements by using subscript variable is already known to us. That how we can use subscript. जो subscript जो square brackets में number आ रहा है, that is the index number, to print the value of the array or to access the value of the array, means that we can use this subscript to write any value to any index of that array or to read value using that subscript element of any index of that array. Now let's see how we can access the array elements using pointer. Okay, let's write a program for this. Okay, this is the program जिसमें मैंने आपको शो किया था कि we are printing the, for example, array हमारे पास 5 है कि array की जो memory allocate होती है that is continuous. ठीक है, so we are printing the addresses of that memory. So if I print that program, and so you see the addresses, there's a jump of 4 byte. 4 की jump है, that is 4 byte की jump है. Why 4 byte? Because the type of the array is float. So let's say this is the integer array and the value assigned to that array is let me assign some value to that array or initialize that array with some value 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, let's say. So this loop, so this is the method to print, this is the subscript method. So here we have a subscript element that is I, that is used to access individual element of the array. So अब मैंने यहाँ पर से AND का operator remove कर दिया, so it won't print the address, it will print the value of that array. ठीक है, so I की वैल्यू 0 होगी तो A of 0 की वैल्यू प्रिंट कर देगा, I की वैल्यू 1 होगी तो A of 1th इंडेक्स की वैल्यू प्रिंट कर देगा. Let's compile it, run that program and see the output. So it prints the value 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, what is this value? So the loop should execute 4 times. I should write it here 4. Okay, now let's compile and execute. So we have not just the value of the array will be printed. Now let's see how these values can be printed using a pointer. Let's say we have an integer pointer. static j. Now I just comment out मैं इसको कमेंट आउट कर देता हूँ और अब मैं ये पॉइंटर यूज कर रहा हूँ टू प्रिंट द वैल्यू ऑफ अरे. let us that pointer points to the first element of that array. For that we have to assign the address of the first element of that array, and that is this one, and a of 0. You can write and a of 0. You can also write, instead of this, you can also write j is equal to a. That is, both are the same thing. So if you write a or and a of 0, that is both the same thing. So now you can see that the name of the array is actually the pointer that points to the memory location where you have a group of 5 values stored. ठीक है? So when you write this thing, okay, I will tell you this thing in the next lecture. So इसको इस तरह से लिखा जाए या इस तरह से लिखा जाए, both are the same thing, दोनों same तरीके हैं. ठीक है? So let me erase this. Now we have a let's say for loop. I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4, I plus plus, printf okay, now we have to print the value %d/n, which value that is pointed by that pointer, value at the memory location that is pointed by the pointer j. Now we have to increment j as well. अब j के पास initially जो address आएगा, that is the address of this first element. ठीक है? इस memory location क्या आएगा? Let's say इसका address जो है वो 500 है. So j के पास 500 आ गया. When you print it static j, तो value at address 500, that is 10. So 10 will be printed. Then j plus plus, j की वैल्यू को इंक्रीमेंट करें. It is same as j is equal to j plus 1. So कितनी वैल्यूज का इंक्रीमेंट होगा यहाँ पर? 4 का, because the type of the pointer j is integer, and with that she knows that the next integer value is 4 byte away. So 500 के बजाय अब j में वैल्यू जो आ जाएगी वो आ जाएगी 504. That means it points to the next memory location. ठीक है? So let's compile this program and execute it. Now the values are 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Okay, let's print out these values both from the array, using array. So let me write it over here, using array. So the values are this, and let us also print the memory addresses. So value %d at address, okay. Now let me write it over here, printf using pointer. We also print the addresses and pointer. ठीक है? अब वो pointer j है जो पहले point करेगा at the 0th index element, then it points to the 1 index element, then it points to the 2nd index element, और हम उसकी values print करते जाएंगे और j की value को increment करते जाएंगे. And when the value of the j is incremented, so the addition of 4 is performed because the type of the j is pointer. ठीक है? Sorry, type of the j is integer. It's an integer type pointer. Value so the value this one at address this one /n. So the value is static j, address is j, So the value is a of I, address is and a of I. Now let's compile this program. Let's compile this program first. Okay, we're missing semicolon over here. No error. Run it. Now you see, using array value 10 at address 2686752, using pointer value static j की वैल्यू है और j की वैल्यू जो है 2686752 है. सिमिलरली j की वैल्यू को आप इंक्रीमेंट कर रहे हैं. जब ये वैल्यू प्रिंट कर लिया, इसको इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे, j की वैल्यू हो जाएगी 2686756, देन यू प्रिंट दैट वैल्यू. ठीक है, सो आपने पहले वैल्यू प्रिंट कर दी है, उसके बाद j को इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे, सो j पॉइंट्स टू द नेक्स्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन, देन लूप की नेक्स्ट आइटरेशन पे वो वैल्यू और वो एड्रेस प्रिंट हो जाएगा. ठीक है, सो ओके, I hope this is clear from this example that you can use a pointer to print the value of an array. So this is the end of our today's lecture. In today's lecture I have shown you first a program where we have take input a percentage marks from user, and then we sum those marks using a for loop and calculate average and print the average. Then we will write a program where we have seen that the memory allocated to the array element is contiguous. So तमाम array elements को एक साथ memory allocate होती है, अलग अलग नहीं होती. अलग अलग का मतलब है कि वो discrete नहीं होती. ऐसा नहीं होता कि array का size अगर 5 है तो 2 bytes 2 elements, 2 elements को memory किसी और point पे allocate हो, 3 को किसी और point पे. No, it's not like this. The memory allocated for the array is always continuous. ठीक है. Then I have shown you then we have seen the bound checking in the array and the array initialization. Then we have seen pointer arithmetic and passing value of the array elements to a function that prints those values, passing addresses of the elements of the array to a function, and that function prints the value at those addresses. And then we have seen how we can display the array value using pointers. In the next lecture we will show you, we will see how we will pass an array, an entire array to a function.